What is up, everybody? Ace here. I am back on the JFS, making sure I'm recording. Yep, making sure the audio is recording. I'm back in the UHC house. I'm just kind of making these books. It's basically just a recap of what went on for the season. Looks like as I do my episodic mic smack, once I reach season 27, which is in September. July, August, September. Yep, September. I'll have to move down and make a third level. Because this is for the equal server and other UHCs that I've done. So, I might try to make it into something else as well. But, here we are. I've been adding grass mainly over here where the trees are. Eventually I'm going to work on this. This was going to be something I was going to do kind of a tier list for least to most favorite UHCs. Maybe I'll do that in a future episode. I like this sound. It's nice. Maybe we could do that this episode a little bit. Because, beyond a couple things, I don't really have much to do or talk about, really. But, I'll show you what's going on over here. I do have to collect signs if I'm going to be doing that thing. So, oops. And you see over here, I've been doing some digging. I cleared out these two sections that were in this area. I also lit off the rest of my TNT. You can't really tell from here, but it's been done. I'll run up there and show you. I'm eating all of my zombie flesh because I don't want it anymore. Excuse me. So, instead of just throwing it away, as I adjust my mic, instead of throwing it away, I'm just going to use it. So, is he following me? Yeah, he's coming up here. Nope, he jumped off. Alright. But yeah, I lit off my TNT in a couple places, here and down there a little ways. This has been the TNT field, and it's going to be a pain digging out this area next, but this is where I'm going to be working. I'm going to try to shave all this down to this point, in which things are going to get extra impossible. Well, not impossible, but it's going to be very time consuming, because once I get to this point, then it's just going to be going back and forth, row by row, from top to bottom, until we reach the end. So, it's going to be great. And it's going to take a long time. I bet the world will reset before we even get to that point. But there's a piece of dirt in here. These Endermen have been making a mess of my base lately. Let's see, I added a couple things to my shop in Shoptown. Not really anything too crazy. These are some things I'm going to be bringing there. Another silverfish head amongst that. Let's have a little bit of a sleep, and then I'll collect some signs. Anything to update? There's the one thing that I can update on, and that is the UHC Awards. The nominations have finished, and we're doing finalist voting. So that's going to run until the end of the month. There's a link in the announcements chat to where you can vote for your finalists. You got to pick 3, and yeah. That's probably more signs than I need, but there's only, 26 seasons, and I have a few signs. But, yeah, so. I can mention the finalists once I get to the top of the ladder here. But, we got 6 or 7 of each. Someone voted, at the last minute. So, there were a few extras thrown in. So let's see. We got for most exciting player. Our nominations are Nixer, Asus, Killer, myself, Shawson, Fire Eyes, Panda, Boo, and Grapes. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, Grapes currently has 0 votes for finalist picking, but Nixer was nominated by like 4 separate people, so I kind of expect him to be the shoe-in to win, but he's got some good competition here. As for the Death by Admin Award, the finalists are Muckluck, Smidjay, which was more of a pun because he has Smite in his word, Mary, Killer, Lemons, Fruit, Joda, Shawson, Canuck, and Nixer. And only Smidjay and Nixer don't have any votes so far. The good news is that we do have 3 definitive leaders for each one, and I want 3 finalists per category. So as long as it stays not tied at any point, as long as we don't have like 4 eligible finalists, then yeah, I guess I could just do 4 finalists, but I'd rather not because we'd still have 4 UHCs left, and I want to use that extra spot for anything that pops up during the next 4 seasons. So, luckily for something like this, like Most Exciting Player and Death by Admin, you don't really need to worry about that unless a new player pops up. But so yeah, let's do a quick tier list. I'm gonna have to bring up. Do I have my phone next to me? Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring up the list because I actually have it listed on here, on a Google sheet. That is also where I'm listing my UHC Awards stuff. I'm not going to link it for anyone because I also have the gimmick UHC gimmicks, kind of like the April Fool's UHC stuff. I have gimmick ideas on there, and I don't really want to tell anybody what those gimmicks are. So, oh cool, my spreadsheet's in dark mode. That's cool. Just just told me that when I logged in. Okay, so yeah, let's see if we can breeze through this fairly quickly. So red tier's obviously the worst ones. I tried to keep it as even as possible. Season 26 is not listed in order, but so we're gonna go left to right, or right to left, I should say. So right side is the worst of that color, left side is the best. Not like that matters, but yeah, I think the easiest one to put on here is UHC 10. Because it was, if you remember, there was the partial pre-gen. There was the not taking it seriously. Not taken seriously. Not taken serious. Not. Yeah, it's fine. And the world, if I can spell it right. World border end. Yeah, like UHCs are just a game. You're supposed to have fun with it, but you're also supposed to kind of try, unless we're doing the April Fools kind of stuff. So, the fact that a lot of people didn't, it seemed like a lot of people gave up after the whole fiasco in the beginning. It was just really bad. And it was bad to the point where we did another UHC, 1 season later. And it wasn't until season 25 that we were able to, like, I guess, exercise the demons by doing another Find a Partner UHC for that season. What else ended up happening during that? There were a lot of mobs in the beginning because of the partial pre-generation. All the mobs were spawning in the only places that they could, which created a lot of mob deaths and not a lot of PvP. So, next up, these are in my opinion, by the way. So, UHC 15. This was the reroll gate. It was the main thing. No episode timers, and say gimmicks Fail. So yeah, reroll gate was grapes was randomized onto a team. I just like these sounds. I'm gonna keep walking on them. Yeah, grapes was put on a team instead of Shostin. Instead of swapping the two out, we re-randomized, and that created the overpowered team of Shostin, Asus, and Killer. And while that isn't really a bad thing per se, it does create the foregone conclusion that they were going to win, and they won in dominant fashion with 2 Notch Apples. On top of that, we had a couple teams that feature people that we've had plenty of times before. That was Muck's big complaint for that one. But, you know, like, I was on Team F3A for the second time, and that didn't work for me. I died first that season. There's kind of a coincidence between these two, because I died first in both of these. The worst first death is probably Season 15, though, because that one was completely me. But, yeah, the episode timer didn't work, so we did 30-minute episodes, which didn't really make sense, but, you know, we still could have done 20-minute episodes, but we went with 30. And the 2 gimmicks we had kind of failed. The max mob dungeons were, yeah, did more harm than good, and the golden heads weren't really memorable that season. Like, I think I remember people using them, but it just didn't do anything for that season. Next up, UHC 1, the very first one. So, hang on, 5 hours is the big one, because, yeah, 10 episodes at 30 minutes each equals 5 hours of content, and I think the combat was spread out pretty well, but there was still a lot of time where people were just caving. And a lot of people died to caves during that time. What was the other issues we had? Not many perspectives. Lacking. I'm gonna say POVs. Yeah. So with it being the very first UAC, there's a lot of perspectives that we don't get to see, and there was no spectator mode as well. So when anyone died, they just left the server, and some people, like, I think Dravarden had episodes, but he doesn't. He removed all his videos. I don't think Adrian recorded at all. Mary lost most of his footage except for the end, and then pretty much everyone else died before the ending. So you can't really watch one person all the way through for that season. And while you do get to see the ending through Mary's eyes, you don't really get to see. You don't really get to see it from a spectator point of view. Put Team OP wins. And a team winning isn't really that bad per se. A team winning in dominant fashion isn't really that bad per se. And actually, the storyline was pretty good, seeing who could take down Team OP. But turns out nobody could. I think that was kind of the only good spot about it. But because I like storylines. But next, I actually had this one lower, but I bumped it up higher. It's UHC 20. So UHC 20 was the big teams of 2. Everybody knows why I don't like this one. Yeah, it was mainly the standoff. That's pretty much it. That's like, the storyline was actually pretty decent. Standoff. Charge did nothing. Nothing. We'll use the southern term. And Joda MVP, which is not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. I should get that up. So that little up arrow means that's a positive. So yeah, it had a pretty good build with Nixer's team taking down Rad and Scott. I hope nobody attacks me. And then we had to kind of, like, try to rebound, so we went to the Nether and all that. But it kind of didn't work out that way. I realized that this doesn't have room for 26 names, so one of these is gonna have to go off to the side. fix that later. But maybe I'll just make this entire room rainbow colored and just just add them all the way around. Um, so yeah, and the I guess I kind of hyped myself up too much because it ended up being a standoff where our team had one bow that Joda found, as we were in the standoff, and Nix's team had a couple bows, but nobody wanted to charge in. Blue team didn't want to charge in because they had the low ground, and they would surely die. And our team didn't want to charge in because we had the high ground, and if we charged in, we would have given up the high ground. And since we had the numbers disadvantage, we would surely die. So we were kind of at this point where neither team wanted to give up what little advantage they had. And so I got fed up and charged in and attacked, and that did nothing. Uh, and eventually, the border squeezed our team down, and they charged in and pretty much got slaughtered. I think Shawson died because he was lagging, and then Joda, being the MVP that he was, he he got the bow. He suggested the Nether. He tunneled underneath everybody. He got a kill on Boo. He died to a wolf instead of a player. Like he was the bright spot in a season that I did not like. So, and finally, so this one's kind of more for personal reasons because I know people would rate this one higher, but UHC 14. And the main thing about it, well, there was low, uh, uh, if I can spell it, tendence, right? Attendance. And that was pretty much the only bad. That was one of the only bad things, but the other one was the ghosting. And as an up, good finale, which is an up. So, yeah, the main thing that I don't like about it is the ghosting. The low attendance numbers was not great. I think we also had world border issues, which wasn't that big of a problem. I forget if we had episode timer issues as well, but it didn't. It ended up not being that big of a deal. But the ghosting was a big deal, especially on my end. So I try to put that one aside when I think about UHCs. This one definitely would have been rated higher if I had not done any ghosting, because I finished second despite dying to a creeper partway through. Thank you, Aces. But yeah, I wasn't the only one that ghosted, but I was definitely the one that was the most blatant and most offensive at it. So, into the orange group. These ones aren't objectively bad, just not great, I guess. They're fine. And the epitome of that one is UHC 8, which is, yeah, it was just fine. Is pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about it. We have Xmas uh, gimmicks. Well, I should say no Xmas gimmicks, because we tried to do Christmas gimmicks, but they failed. We did have a Snowy 00, though. And nothing special at all. So, there was... Can I fit this in here? Can I make this? I'll just put it like that. Can I make this? Can I make it up? Yes. So, can I make this is the can I make this jump that Fruit did in the first episode. What else happened? We saw a Super Creeper, which I don't think has happened in any other UHC, so hey. But, yeah, not really much to write home about with this season. Yeah, we had 4 teams of 4. Everybody did their thing. We had our standard battle, big battle, like the climactic moment, which was my team fighting the green team. Then we backed off to the red team, and then Dan survived all of that, only to lag out against the green team. And then it was green team versus Hollywood, and green team won, so nothing crazy there. Next, UHC UHC Season 3. So this one was another just okay. uh, okay combat. The big one was the PvE ending with no end POV. The biggest highlight that I would have put in here was the glorious Yellow Mountain trope that happened that season. But yeah, the combat was fine, and you had some good stuff going on there. The PvE ending, Conflict killed Mary and Killer, and then I think died to a zombie a moment or two afterwards, which gave the win to Dakota and his team, who weren't even in near 0-0 at the time. And because we had no spectator mode, there's no end POV. After Mary dies, the season just kind of ends, so we don't get to see the ending of the UHC, which is lame. Next, UHC, not 6, 7. We had Team OP 2.0, Team OP 2.0, which was Park and Ellen. Oh yeah, most of the combat off camera. Oh, combat not seen. We'll put like that. That's pretty much all the main stuff. I'll just put Park 1. Park was... I guess Park was kind of like the... Not the precursor to Killer in a skill sense, although he did get really good after Season 5. But he was not a fan favorite to win any UHCs. And yeah, he did. He won this one, and he won it in pretty dominant fashion. Despite, Holly really didn't want it to happen, but it did. Yeah, a lot of the combat happened between people who didn't record. So, Park and Ellen don't record, and then the majority of the people who got into combat with them did not record either. So there was not much fighting that you got to see. And we had spectator mode that season. That was the first season we had spectator mode. But, Sir Maxis was still recording, and he was one of the last guys left. But Team OP 2.0, a dominant season. While it can create a great storyline like in Season 1, this one didn't feel as good, probably because you couldn't see any of it. You probably couldn't see much of this one either, but, when Dravarden was recording, you could, but he took down his videos. But, even in this one, with the few perspectives of combat that you could see, it just didn't feel as special. So, UHC 11. That was the second dragon fight. Dragon wins is kind of the main thing. Well, I don't have much for this one. We'll put Nixer fight, and just kind of fine, decent, just decent. Touch the mic again. So yeah, Dragon wins. We knew that the Dragon was going to be difficult because this was when they added stuff for the Dragon. But I think it could have gone better had the Nixer fight not happened, and it was kind of smart in a way because if Nixer's not going to win, then nobody will, because he basically stole the attention away from everyone. So Cookie was spending all of his time trying to fight Killer, while the others kind of went one by one to their death against the Dragon. And by the time Cookie killed Nixer, Cookie was the only one left, and he had to finish shooting down the spires and kill the Dragon, and that just wasn't going to happen. Outside of that, the only combat I really remember outside of the Nether was my team facing Mary's team with Lemons and Andy interrupting and taking us out and then dying to Mary's team, which was pretty neat. But I think that's kind of it in terms of combat. I don't remember anyone else getting into a fight. And if it was, probably wasn't that memorable. Next. This one could probably be rated higher for other people, but UHC 18. So, big thing was the PvE ending, which, granted, watching it back was actually kind of funny. That was pretty much the only real negative. I think this was just in the orange section because others are better. Because everything else I have in here is good. So, are like good things. Trying to see here. Shostin sequence. Shostin. I'll just put Shostin with an up. And combat, good. Combat, good. So, it was a pretty... I think the build was kind of your standard stuff. I think this was around the time where we were talking about trying to spruce up UHCs. But Shostin's Nether adventure and then running into everybody after that was pretty entertaining. The combat that we did get was pretty good. Naxer being elusive. Basically, my team chasing ghosts, trying to, Naxer escaping us, and then Muck and Dennis escaping us was pretty interesting. And the PvE ending was kind of, it made me salty in the moment, but looking back at it, was pretty decent. But I'd very much rather have a PvP ending than to die to mobs. It's kind of anticlimactic. But now we get to the yellow. Let me check the time on this. Gonna be another long video. Yellow section. This one is the pretty good seasons. It's kind of an interesting grouping for me. Oops. And I just twitched that one. Alright, so we have, first off, UHC 23, the second free-for-all we had. So that's pretty decent. Let's see. The mid-season fights were good. This pretty much anything yellow or above is going to have good stuff, in which I'll note the negatives. Let's see. Yes. Prolonged end, which is a downvote. So a V. I'll just put a V. And UHC 13 rerun, which is a V. So yeah, so mid-season fights are good. Yeah, all that combat happening at once is pretty neat. Me dying partway through didn't really help, but it was still a good season. The ending was kind of prolonged because it had Dennis, Naxer, and Killer kind of running around the 0-0 area. We had the always closing border, which closed from episode 1, but it kind of took a long time. It was there by the end, but that was because they took so long trying to end it. I think if it moved like maybe 20 minutes faster, it would have been a little bit more interesting. But I think the always closing border can work if we just tweak how long it takes for it to close. Just make it just a tad bit faster. And the ending was the same as UHC Season 13, where Naxer kills Killer. So it was a good ending, but that's pretty much all I can say about that. Next, interestingly enough, UHC 22. Now, again, we're kind of in the field where seasons suffer from better seasons ahead of it. So we had long, what do I want to call it? Big fight. And then, what else do I have for it? Good, final battles. And then Killer wins, lol, with a V. It's kind of sad to have a player winning be a negative, but I have a video about that. I have an idea for a video about that. But yeah, it's a pretty decent season. Um, you have my team. I was listening to my dog barking. He's in his crate for now. But we had the big fight, which was took a long time to go through. And once we finally broke off from that, we had the my team running into red team, while Shawson's team runs into Killer's team, and then my team kind of comes back around to fight the other two, and that was kind of neat. It took a long time to get to that part, and in the end, Killer won anyways. So we had a Notch Apple too, so we felt pretty good, but it ended up with Killer winning anyways. Notch Apple doesn't really guarantee a win anymore. But next, like I said, grouping's kind of interesting in this one. UHC 21. So the cool thing about this was what do I want? How do I want to say it? Low. I'll just put low attendance as a good thing. We kind of make up for it. What else was there? Good final battles. Yeah, I'll just say low attendance made up for it. So, and then good finale. So there's really only two things about it. Low attendance is a negative, but the fact that we took the 12 of us and made a good season out of it is pretty good. And the finale was neat. Watching multiple teams interact with each other in the way that they did was pretty cool. And Jad trying to pull off a nice little heist in there. And then, Killer not winning is unfortunately a good thing for this. But yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good for what it was, considering the attendance. Again, kind of weird. UHC 24 is next. This is the one that I teamed with Nixer and Boo. I don't really have much to say on this one. Exciting finale. Or no, not finale. Climax. Exciting climax. Standard build, which isn't really a negative, but and then Killer wins lol V. So yeah, Killer won in even more dominant fashion that season, with 7 kills. But the climactic battles were fun. Seeing Dakota and Fruit on their horses, running back and forth between everybody, kind of pinballing between everyone. Shawson sneaking up on the white team twice. The blue team kind of getting stuck between us and Killer's team, and then all the fights that happen there, all to end up with Killer winning yet again. And again, kind of sad that Killer winning is a negative, but you can only watch the same ending so many times and enjoy it. Like, if a show ends the same way every time, guess what? We're breaking the mold for this one. UHC 6. This was the first Ender Dragon fight. So let's see. Good dragon fight. No. Good. We'll just say good finale. It's actually kind of a. I'm gonna replace good with dramatic finale. Let's see. We had. I'm just gonna put standard build. I have early combat off camera as this one, but I'm just gonna switch it to standard build. And the only ending off. Ending. Not seen. With AV. So yeah, unfortunately, this was the season before spectator mode. The build was pretty normal. I was sick that season, so I didn't have a good season. But the finale was pretty good. With even though we couldn't see it, the team, Hollywood's team, getting picked off one by one. Having to fend off Mary's team as well as the dragon, and with Kayla delivering the killing blow as she dies was pretty epic. So it's my favorite of the yellow group. So now we're on to the green, which has the extra one on it. I have to decide where it goes. Yeah, season 26 is going to be in the green. Because there's some pretty epic seasons ahead of it. It looks like I'm putting it... Okay. So, here is UHC 13, the first free-for-all. It was one that I really liked. Combat throughout. That's not gonna fit. Fights throughout. There we go. Fights throughout, which is always good. Keeps things exciting. Nixer wins, which was a big thing because we started to get an idea of how dominant Killer was going to be from season 12. We knew that there was going to be a problem, and so Killer actually coming away with the win was pretty good. And the only other thing I have is it was the first free for all, which to me is good. Other people don't really like free for all, mainly for commentary reasons. Yeah, you have nobody to talk to except yourself. So, but I like it. But we only do it like every so often. So, next, UHC 19. This one is kind of forgotten to me. I feel like it's underrated. That's the one. Underrated. It was another cities UHC. So we got city combat was good, and man, I got a lot of stuff on this one. I'll put the nether fight. Nether fight. Yeah, nether fight. So yeah, some good combat in this season. I think it's kind of underrated. We might talk about other UHCs way before this one. Yeah. The other things I have listed on here is that Joe and Dennis got their first kills this season, which is a plus. Good to see that. But Killer and Zalfa won yet again, and this was when Zalfa was having his unusual winning streak that only Killer can top, which is pretty crazy. Next, UHC 9. I think I had this one higher when I was first thinking about these, but good story, good fights. Yeah. Two strong teams who collided in the finale. I'll just put good finale. So, yeah, there's the storyline was kind of like me versus Dan for Iron Man. I was moving away at the time and thought that I wasn't going to be able to play UHC for a long time. Turns out I was wrong, but it was still, at the time, it was a good storyline. And our team was looking really good. We had killed the green team early on, but Dan's team had the original overpowered Notch Apple that you had to craft, and so they ended up winning that one. Any other notes that I have on that? No, that was pretty much the other note that I had, but it was a good finale. The blue team kind of ran in and shook things up a little bit. Took down Kayla, had the invisibility potions, which we never see. Yeah, good season. That's a really solid one. There's good combat going on beforehand as well. There's a lot of good stuff going on there. Next, UHC Season 4. That was the 30 players for that season. 15 teams of 2. Um, oh yeah, late arrivals, which you could say is good for story purposes, but bad for the ending. And TMG Holy story. I can put a slash in there. Yeah. So yeah, that was the highest attendance number that we ever had. 15 teams of 2. The late arrivals were not Notorious Park, Ellen Books and The Biggest Killer, who ended up on a team half an hour after the season started. I think like a couple people already died by that time, so it's kind of weird that they were let in. And Killer ended up winning. Now this was before he had his dominance. He around that he had decent. He had like okay seasons where he just kind of played for. He didn't really do much. He ended up dying after. Never won. But this was his first win. Season 5, he didn't really do too well, and then he was gone until season 12. But Mary and Holly and their adventures, running into Killer at one point and letting him go, only to die to him in the end, was pretty interesting. So, next, UHC 25. Again, I have to say. Oh, wait, no. This one gets boosted because UHC 26 goes here. I win. I'll just put that. Ace wins. I actually don't have any notes for this one. Good combat. Amped terrain. So yeah, after so long, I finally won a UHC, which is good for me. That's why I put it up so high. I was trying to avoid recency bias with this one. I didn't want to place it higher than it deserved to be. But I thought the combat was good between everybody involved. I should have noted that Killer died first in the season, which really opened the game up. That and Fire Eyes dying really opened the game up because they still could have won with Fire Eyes. But yeah, any wide open UHC like that is always interesting to see. But yeah, UHC 25 goes here. This one gets the edge. So let's see. Season 10 Exorcism. Because yeah, we finally got to put season 10 to rest. Even though most people have moved on from it, I think officially it is put to rest. Yeah. Gang up on Killer. Gang up on Killer. It was pretty interesting when Killer and Nixer teamed up, and see, Fire Eyes. I'll put Fire Eyes wins. Funny thing about this season is that we had people ganging up on Killer that season. Our team, Green Team, I guess a little bit of Blue Team as well. Because we knew that team was pretty much a shoo-in to win, and they still managed second place. But it was kind of like that moment, like season 24. We were so tired of seeing Killer win that this season it was kind of like we weren't gonna let that happen again. And so once we had the chance, we just all kind of focused on them. And then once he was dead, it like I said, it got blown wide open, just like in season 26, but in a smaller sample size. So pretty good stuff. So now we're on to the blue group. Finally, how far in are we? This is probably going to be an hour, but here we go. UHC Season 5. These are my favorites. So UHC Season 5. Oh yeah, I should just put the Everyone Dies episode. Yeah. Good build what's a good? Yeah, I guess smart finale. So yeah, this I think only one person died before any combat happened. That was Ellen. Ellen Books, and then everybody else kind of died within the final 2 or 3 episodes. And Hollywood's team kind of stayed out of it until the very end, where it was just me versus all of them, and I didn't stand a chance. I killed Blue Bayou with a horse. Well, the horse absorbed all of the shots, and I, finished her off. But yeah, so really good season. One of the favorites, definitely the best out of the first 10 seasons. Uh, actually, I say that, but one of the other first 10 seasons is on here. It's not next though. Next is UHC 16, which was the first city. City combat was crazy. Combat, uh, killer killing was kind of dramatic. Killer killing drama. Oh, I can't fit drama, but killer killing. And I'll just put killer drama. Or killer gonna win. But he doesn't, because Team G wins. So, yeah, the main thing around this one was that Mary finally got his first win after, 16 seasons. I think that's... No, he missed... He missed season 8, which is kind of ironic. He missed season 8 and 13. It was kind of ironic that he missed season 8 because we actually scheduled that for the Australians and New Zealanders for that season. Like, they had the good time and we didn't in the US. So, or actually, I think Europe had it worse because they had the early morning time, and the US just had the late night gaming. Which for me doesn't mean much. It ended at 5 a.m. for me, so it was definitely early morning for the Europeans. But Mary finally won for season 16. We thought Killer was going to win because he took down like Dan, who was the big killer of the season, the most deadly of the season, I should say. And then Cookie, so it's down to Canuck and Mary. But the combat before it was pretty crazy, which I love. I love crazy combat. Next, UHC Season 2. My favorite of the first 10. Combat. Oh, wait, I said fights throughout, which is always good to see, and really good to see on a non-free-for-all seasons. Yeah, great story twist is the big thing there. When Firestar Sora showed up with Sharpness 4 and destroyed everybody, even though we thought Team Cuddly Hugs was going to win. And I'm going to put Cake or Death, because Cake or Death had a false start. They're too busy celebrating birthdays to realize that the UHC started. I think Special Bruh died because of that. And they regrouped, got their cake, charged into battle against Team Cuddly Hugs, set off some TNT. There were like 3 people on horseback. And unfortunately, they lost that battle, but it was probably one of the more exciting fights ever. So, definitely one of the more exciting one team versus one team fights. So next, UHC. Ooh, I think I'm going to swap these. Should I swap these? I could probably do this over and over and keep swapping. Yeah, I'm going to swap them. So UHC 17 is next. This was Juggernaut Ace. No Killer and Builders win. So yeah, that's where I exploded for my 6 kills after not having a kill since season 5. And Killer not being there, having a lot of good players not being there, and having other players get a chance to kind of shine Scott had the Notch Apples, RV got Iron Man, Scott got first kill, I got most kills. And then the builders win. Zalpha, Dennis, Zalpha, Dennis, and Weather. Um, and it sparked things for at least two of them, because Alpha went on like a 4-season winning streak, and Dennis turned things around for him from that point on. He started picking up kills and wins as well, and Weather took a little bit more to start building up. But season 24, he got his first kill, and then he got another one in 26. So he's been doing good. So, but yeah, I think the thing that holds me back on that one, the storyline in the beginning was pretty good for us. Um, there's kind of, I guess the mid season was pretty decent. There might have been a bit of a lull, maybe a little bit better if you watched like Team Badge when Asus was drunk. But I think the ending, maybe me not winning, looking back at it, was a bit of an issue. But all I know is that UHC season 12 was my favorite. Is still my favorite season of all time. Now, having it 4 hours is not exactly a good thing, but 2 hours of fights is really good. Um, yeah, that's kind of the main thing. Anyone. Oops, that's not how you spell could. Could win. Yeah, anyone could have won that season. Despite the fact that Killer ended up winning that, and kind of began his reign of terror on all of us, anybody could have really won that one. We were all low on health. 1 or 2 shots to any of us would have done us in. It just so happened that the gray team get all the good shots. But having 2 hours of constant combat going on somewhere, and the fact that most of the teams, if not everybody, was involved at some point in time, except for Dakota's team, because they were the only ones that died to not combat, to PVE stuff. It was pretty crazy. It was anybody's game, and it's kind of hard to say when Killer's playing, but that's all of them for now. I guess I will expand these because I have a little extra, but yep, 52 minutes. So I'm gonna end this now before it gets any longer. I'll update this as it goes, but I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. I intend to do more videos like this, but probably in a vlog format, maybe. So stay tuned for that. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching, and I shall see you all next time.